This is Update News, weekly news and information program produced by Communication and Journalism Department students at the University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for Update News. I'm Max Bernard.
And I'm Claire Kniper. Coming up today, we'll update you on the latest school shooting on American soil,
as well as newly leaked memos recorded by former FBI Director James Comey. But first, a suspect is in custody after a student was shot in the ankle at a Florida high school. The shooting happened this morning, which put the school on lockdown. Police say the subject is not a student, but his age has not been released. Students were transferred to a nearby church as their parents were urged not to come near the school. The shooting happens as students across the country plan to walk out to protest gun violence on the anniversary of the Columbine High School shooting.
One peaceful protest took place at the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire this morning. Students were marching, chanting, and sharing their reasons for participating in the protest. There was a moment of silence for the victim of gun violence. Then, tables with voting and candidate information were set up. The nonviolent protest was organized by the Catalysts, a student-run group with a mission to create space for activism, education, and reform. The organizers say the protest was nonpartisan. One speaker said no one should be able to purchase an assault rifle. Another student read a poem about the fear surrounding gun violence.
To be able to purchase a military-style assault rifle, and thank you. And it blows my mind because people, they just shrug their shoulders like, well, it happens and it's really sad, but that's not okay when other people die.
Yet there is no need for silencers when our voices fall on deaf ears. I stand here today because it's time our voices were heard.
Members of the Catalyst say one way to make a change is to vote for candidates who support gun reform.
The Wisconsin Office for Deaf and Hard of Hearing announced a new mode of communication for police officers and their interaction with the deaf. Community Updates and Marie Payson has the details.
These new visor cards come after the 2017 wake of an Oklahoma City deaf man, Mendel Sanchez, who was shot and killed by police for not hearing or understanding their commands. The University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire's American Sign Language professor, Nicole Jones, says the cards are a much better form of communication.
If stopped, the passenger, deaf person, driver, whatever, can present that to the cop, and it says, I'm deaf or hard of hearing, and then sort of explains, their situation. Then also there's parts of the car that are really cool where they can point to certain things, like there's a picture of a tow truck, so meaning I need a tow, or, I'm lost, or whatever. So there can be some sort of back and forth communication.
With the previous histories of police believing deaf individuals not obeying their commands was a form of refusal, ASL instructor on UWEC's campus, Christian Scheibe, feels much safer because of the new communication ability.
It really helps the police to communicate with the deaf. Because the deaf can't speak and they want to write. Some do, some can write back and forth. But it helps officers know it's a deaf person, then the communication is better.
These visor cards are very helpful, but having an interpreter present is still one of the best ways to connect with a deaf individual.
The deaf are not disabled. The deaf can do anything. They can drive, they can do all sorts of things, have jobs, careers. Only thing is they have a hearing loss. Also, it's important to have interpreters there with the police for that deaf person.
The Aging and Disability Resource Center of Eau Claire, located at the Eau Claire County Government Center, has these visor cards available. For Update News, I'm Anna Marie Payson.
If you believe you or someone you know is in need of a visor card, more information can be found at the ADRC website.
Autism is a condition that affects around 30 students on campus. A documentary in the Woodland Theater Tuesday night highlighted one student's story. Update's John Jardine has the details.
The University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire showcased a documentary called Deej this week. Deej is a boy with autism who uses technology to communicate as he is unable to speak. The aim of the documentary for Deej is to teach people to understand autism better. Director of University Activities for Student Senate, Nicole Miller, says events like these are helpful to educate people on differences.
I really think that understanding people different from us, so people with disability, people of color, things like that, is the first step to inclusion.
Following the documentary, a panel interacted with the audience to discuss DJ's struggles and accomplishments, as well as talk about the services offered here on campus. UW Eau Claire Director of Services for Students with Disabilities, Vicki Thomas, affirms that the university has a lot of support for disabled students.
We have all kinds of accommodations and services, and it depends on the needs of the student. We have a discussion with them, and then we talk about what would be helpful for them to be successful here on campus.
Deej hopes that inclusion will help people look past his disability. The panel echoed this and says the events are eye-opening for students to learn more about people with disabilities. For Update News, I'm John Jardine.
Memos written by former FBI Director James Comey about his conversations with President Trump have been leaked after the documents were given to Congress on Thursday. The documents contain new details about Trump's concerns over a top advisor's judgment. Trump also discussed the possibility of jailing journalists and describes a conversation with Vladimir Putin about Russian prostitutes. Comey found the conversations so unnerving he chose to document them in writing. The president has accused Comey of leaking classified information in the memos.
A conservative political action committee, known as PAC, is launching $1 million television ad backing Republican Kevin Nicholson. Restoration PAC announced the ad buy on Thursday, which compares Nicholson with Ronald Reagan. The committee has received over $7 million since 2015 from billionaire Richard Ullman, who also backs Nicholson for the Senate. Nicholson faces Senate Leah Volkmar in the Republican Party.
Wells Fargo Bank will pay $1 billion to federal regulators to settle charges tied to its mortgage and auto lending business. In a settlement announced on Friday, Wells will pay $500 million to the Office of Comptroller of the Currency, as well as another $500 million to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. However, none of the $1 billion will go directly to the victims of Wells Fargo's abuses. After the break, we'll give you the weather forecast for the week,
as well as details of a black male empowerment event on the UW Eau Claire campus. Spring has finally arrived, and by Sunday it will look like the start of summer in the Chippewa Valley. As for tonight, though, lows will be around 31 degrees with a partly cloudy sky and calm winds. Saturday will be mostly sunny with a high around 59. Winds will be calm. Saturday night we have a clear sky, but temperatures will drop again with a low of 33 degrees. Sunday highs will be around 64 degrees with a clear and sunny sky. There will be little to no wind as well.
The University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire has a member of a Nobel Prize-winning team of scientists working in its Department of Physics and Astronomy. She gave some insight to their research this Wednesday at a local cafe.
And then talk about his idea. Dr. Higgs also mentioned
Located 100 meters underground near Geneva, Switzerland, lies the largest particle accelerator in the world. The mechanism is 5.3 miles in diameter, and researchers travel around the complex by bicycle. The University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire's Department of Physics and Astronomy lecturer, Sachiko McBride, was one of these researchers. She spoke at the Acoustic Cafe in Eau Claire Wednesday about her time working with the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences on their Large Hadron Collider.
Large Hadron Collider is now the most biggest and powerful particle accelerator in this world. Actually, we are launch the two proton beams in the opposite direction and then crush the two proton beams and then try to see what happened and what type of the new particle is come out.
The new particles that McBride speaks of include the Higgs boson, which the discovery of led to the Academy winning the Nobel Prize in 2013 while she was working in Sweden. This was the last Ask a Scientist event of the season held at the Acoustic Cafe, and many members of the community showed up to learn about the possible implications of the research.
The Higgs boson is very important for us in this nature, because if the particle does not have any mass, and then which meaning like that all like the chemistry gonna be changed.
According to McBride, the confirmation of the Higgs boson will change our understanding of the mass of atoms and have profound effects on our understanding of the physical world. According to McBride, the confirmation of the Higgs boson will change our understanding of the mass of atoms and have profound effects on our understanding of the physical world.
A student organization will be hosting a soul food dinner to give students and community members a chance to try traditional African American cuisine. Funds will also support an upcoming research trip to the United Kingdom. Update Scott Proctor has the details.
Black Male Empowerment, or BME, is headed to the United Kingdom in May to do research related to the role of African Americans in the British world. To help fund the trip, the group will host a soul food dinner Sunday evening in the Dakota Ballroom of the Davies Center. President of BME, Collis McLeod Jr., says the event provides a good opportunity for the campus community to be exposed to a culture that doesn't have a large presence in the area.
Well, soul food dinner is a time where we get together with family, and just have good laughs and good time with each other over good food. And I think it's important on campus to just share this piece of our culture with a campus who has never really experienced anything like this and who's not as culturally diverse as we could be.
The menu will reflect many soul food staples and will be prepared by parents and churchgoers from Chicago, where many of the members are from. McLeod Jr. says that besides the excellent food, students and community members will walk away with a better understanding of BME and of the members they may see around town.
I mean, we have a presence established here on campus, but a lot of them don't see us like in person, or they don't get those chance to interact with us. And I think it'd be a good time to meet the members of BME and get to know them for who they are, as opposed to just seeing on pictures. You can really get involved with the person and get involved with the group and get an authentic feel for what we're about.
Doors of the Dakota Ballroom open at 5:30 p.m. with the program starting at 6:15. For Update News, I'm Scott Proctor.
We're going to take a quick break, but don't go away. We have the latest on the NBA and NHL playoffs.
Stay tuned. You're watching Update News. The Milwaukee Bucks return home to the Bradley Center tonight for Game 3 of the first round of playoff series against the Boston Celtics. The Bucks look to avoid their third loss as in many games after losing 2 straight in Boston. Unlike games where one overtime was forced due to Chris Middleton's buzzer beater, the Bucks never recovered from Boston's opening punch in Game 2. The Bucks gave up 20 second-chance points and allowed the Celtics guard Terry Rozier go off for 23 points from the third straight game. With a new arena in sight, the Bucks look to turn the tide of the series in front of the home crowd.
The defending champion Golden State Warriors took a commanding 3-0 series lead over the San Antonio Spurs last night. Spurs head coach Greg Popovich was not on the bench for Game 3 after the death of his wife the day before. Despite playing with high emotions, the Spurs were unable to hang with the Warriors, and Kevin Durant's 26 points as they fell 110-97. Klay Thompson added 19 points for the Warriors, while LaMarcus Aldridge led the Spurs with 18. Golden State will try to complete the sweep Sunday afternoon.
The New Orleans Pelicans are on the verge of eliminating the Portland Trail Blazers in the first round of the NBA playoffs. Nikola Mirotic scored a career playoff high of 30 to help elevate the Pelicans to a 119-201 three-game victory on Thursday night. If New Orleans manages a Game 4 win Saturday, they will also complete their first sweep of a playoff series in franchise history. The team has a different lead scorer in all 3 games of the series and is dealing with a loss of the All-Star center DeMarcus Cousins.
The Boston Bruins avoided being swept by the Toronto Maple Leafs with a 3-1 win in Game 4 of their playoff series. Boston entered Thursday's games in Toronto without arguably their best player, Patrice Bergeron. Bergeron was a late scratch from the lineup with an upper body injury, but could be back for Game 5. The puck drops at 7 p.m. Saturday night in Boston.
In further NHL playoff news, the Washington Capitals had a commanding 4-1 Game 4 win against the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Capitals win evens at the series at 2 games each. The best-of-7 series now moves to Washington, D.C. for Game 5 on Saturday afternoon.
That's all for sports.
We'll be back with more Update News.
That's all for Update News. I'm Max Paranod.
For the entire Update News team, I'm Claire Neipert. Thanks for watching and have a good weekend.
You have been watching Update News, a weekly news and information production of Communication and Journalism Department students at the University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire.